Hello, everyone. Now we are going to talk about some important terms related to language use. When we use a language, there are some concepts we have to be aware of. Okay. So the first point that we need to understand is the difference between voice and accent. Okay. So we have some idea about voice. We understand what voice means. Okay. But we have to understand what accent is. All right. So let us see. An accent refers to the unique way in which a person or a group of people speak a language. So why is a particular person's speaking style or a particular group's speaking style different from others? Okay. Now, there are some reasons because of this difference. What are those reasons? One is geographical location. Okay, so if you belong to different parts of the globe, it will have an impact on how you speak a particular language. Okay, for instance, we have different kinds of Englishes. Okay, there is British English, there is American English, there is Australian English, and there is Indian English. Okay, so when I use these terms, I am actually talking about different accents in which English is spoken. And why are these accents different from each other? Because of differences in geographical location and cultural background. Okay. And also social class. Social class also impacts the difference in accent. For instance, let us think about English spoken in London. Okay. So you see, in London, a person working in a university will have a different accent than let us say a person who works in a factory. Okay. So this is about class, social class. So a person in a factory would speak English in a totally different way from the way a person in a university would speak. So this is how social class it affects accent. Okay. Then accents can be characterized by differences in pronunciation, intonation, and rhythm. You understand pronunciation, right? And you also understand rhythm. Rhythm is a kind of pattern that we see in language. Okay, while speaking, there is a pattern, right? Our voice, it follows certain patterns, and we recognize that pattern when we hear language in use. Okay, but you might not be aware of the term intonation. Okay, intonation refers to the rise and fall in our voice when we speak something. See, why is there a rise and fall? Because we believe that the meaning of what we say depends upon how we say it. Okay, so then rise and fall in our voice. So we will discuss intonation in detail in a while. Okay, now let us look at voice. Voice is a more general concept if we compare it to accent. Okay, voice refers to the overall sound and tone of a person's speech. It includes not only the way in which words are pronounced, but also the pitch. Now, what is pitch? You see, a person's voice is defined as high pitched or low pitched. Okay, so actually the word pitch, it refers to the frequency of vibrations which take place while that sound is being produced. Okay, so the highness or the lowness of the sound that is produced. Okay, then there is volume, the volume. Okay, and modulation. Modulation again refers to this rise and fall of voice modulation. Okay. So all these concepts are included under voice. So accent is one part of voice. Voice is a larger term. A person's voice can be deep or high pitched, loud or soft, and monotone or expressive. Monotone means in the same way the person would be speaking in a same way, similar way. All the words will be spoken in that same manner without much rise and fall, without much modulation. So we understand that a person who speaks in monotone perhaps does not know how to express his or her emotions. Okay. In contrast to a monotone voice, there is the expressive voice. Okay. Then it reflects a person's personality and emotions and can vary depending on the situation and context. Okay, so a person's voice also tells something about the personality of that individual, and also about his or her emotions, and also something about the situation and context. Okay, so this is the difference between voice and accent. Now we will go to another term that you need to know. There is something called accent training. What is accent training? Accent training requires specialized knowledge of the set of phonemes. The phonemes is the technical word for speech sounds in any language. Okay. So if somebody undergoes accent training, it means they will learn the set of phonemes related to a specific language. Okay. And then they will be made aware of these different ways of pronunciations. Okay. So there is the American English, British English, and Indian English, as I was telling you just now. Now, why is accent training important? You see, in multicultural environments, like you see in a particular university, people from different parts of the globe, they come and study, if it is an international university. And then you see in a particular workplace, all right, in the age of globalization, and we have these uh, these borders between nations, they become porous. Okay, so we have people coming from different countries to work in a multinational company. Okay, now how to make them work in a team? You see, suppose all of them they speak English, but a person from Africa will speak English in a way that an Indian would not understand, and the way an Indian would speak English would not be understood by somebody from Australia. Then how to get the work done, right? Or how should a teacher treat a class if the class contains students from so many different linguistic backgrounds? Okay, so accent trainers, they work with different types of people, typically high skilled multilingual individuals who already speak English very well, but maybe have difficulty being understood by other English speakers. Okay, so they perhaps they know how to use the language well, but because of their accent and because of the difference in the way they speak and in the way others speak, there is this mismatch or a gap. Okay, now, these accents can be explained simply. Each language is made up of a set of speech sounds. Okay, like in English, we have 44 speech sounds. All right, and contains its own rhythm, intonation, sayings, and connections between words. All right. So, Odia has got a particular structure of its own, Hindi has got a particular structure of its own, and African language would have a structure of its own rhythm, music, sayings. Okay. Then a language from New Zealand, let us say, a local language, a tribal language, would have uh, and a style of its own. All right, so when all these kinds of a particular language, they come together, it is a bit difficult to create a common ground. Okay. Now, why this happens? Why is there so much of a difference? Because these people, they have their own languages, and the structures of their own languages, it has an impact on the way they would speak a foreign language. Okay. A second language or a third language. All right. So if our mother tongue is Odia, our English will have an Odia accent that is natural. Okay. But we need to be aware of this. We need to understand that if we speak English in an Odia accent, it is fine within Odisha and also perhaps fine within India. But when we have to go out of India and it will be a different environment in which there are native speakers of English, then we should at least be aware that this is the difference between the British accent and the Indian accent, so that this awareness would help us interact and let the interaction be meaningful. Okay, so that is what accent training is all about. Now we will come to an important concept, and that is syllable division. What is a syllable? Simply speaking, a syllable is a group of one or more sounds with one vowel sound as its essential part. Okay, so one syllable in a word contains one vowel at least. Okay, and then there might be other consonants, but one vowel is compulsory in one syllable. Okay, so that is basically the definition of a syllable. Now, words are made up of syllables. All right, and one word can have any number of syllables. And here we have to remember that when I say that one vowel sound is an essential part of a syllable, we should not mistake vowel sound for a vowel and say that there are these many vowels in the word, so there are n number of syllables. No, we have to see how many vowel sounds are there. So at every point we have to remember the difference between a vowel and a vowel sound. Okay. Now, monosyllabic words, words which have one syllable. Disyllabic words, words which have two syllables. Trisyllabic words, words which have three syllables. And if a word has more than three syllables, then we call it a polysyllabic word. Okay. Now, let us look at some words and then we will see how many syllables are there. Okay. Let me just get the words. Okay. Now, look at the first word, that is set. Set. Okay. See, now you can see the phonetic transcriptions of the words. In the earlier video, you learnt about the phonetic symbols. Now you see all those symbols being put together for a particular word, and we call this the phonetic transcription. This is how we will know how to pronounce a particular word. Okay. All right. Now, in the first word, it is set. How many vowel sounds are there? A. There is only one vowel sound. So it is a monosyllabic word. Second word, run. A. One vowel sound, monosyllabic. Bird. A. One vowel sound. One vowel sound, monosyllabic. Second one, answer. Answer. An contains the vowel sound a and then s. A. Okay. So now we have two vowel sounds, and that is why we have two syllables. And look at the way we differentiate syllables, you will see a small dot after N. This is how you will see the syllables will be separated in a dictionary. Okay, maybe in a dictionary you will see this. Okay, so answer, we have 2 syllables. Then window, window. Okay, window. All right. So it is E and then O. Okay. So we have a monophthong E and we have a diphthong. So we have 2 vowel sounds. Window. Okay. So window. All right. Then the next one, perfect. Perfect. Okay. So a sound and a. Perfect. Okay. So again there are 2 syllables. Now let us look at the next word, objection. You might have heard this word, objection. Okay, objection. All right, so it is objection. All right, so now we have 3 vowel sounds there and there are 3 syllables. Objection. All right, now look at the next word, photograph. Okay, photograph. So it is first vowel sound is a diphthong. Oh, okay. Photograph. Photograph. Okay. Photograph. Then we have 3 vowel sounds and therefore 3 syllables. Now, relative. Relative. Okay. Again, we have 3 vowel sounds. Relative. Okay. So, 3 vowel sounds, 3 syllables. Then look at the next word, establishment. Establishment. Okay. So, we have how many vowel sounds? 1, 2, then 3 and 4. So, there are 4 syllables. Establishment. Okay. So, we have 4 syllables. Then we have photographic. Okay, photographic. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 syllables. Photographic. Okay, so we have a diphthong first, then the small a sound, then a, then e. All right, so 4 syllables. Then machinery. Okay, machinery. So we have a sound, then long E sound, then short a sound, then again at the end E sound, short E sound. So again this has 4 syllables. Machinery. Okay, 4 syllables. Then look at the last word, longitudinal. Longitudinal. Okay, it is ch sound. Longitudinal. All right. So we have O sound first, longi, E sound, then tudinal, oo sound, long oo sound, then again E sound, and then short a sound. Okay, longitudinal. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 vowel sounds, and therefore this word contains 5 syllables. Okay, so I think you will have a good idea about syllable divisions in words now. And if you are given a particular word and you are asked how many syllables you can see in that word, I think you will be able to answer. And always remember that we are talking about vowel sounds and not vowels. Okay. Now, let us go to another concept, that is word stress. Now, if one word has different syllables, then when we speak a particular word, we speak it in a particular way. So stress is actually part of our voice, how we pronounce each sound and where do we put the stress, right? So when I say window, so I say window. So I place more stress on win on the first syllable. Okay. So I don't say window. Okay. I say window. Open the window. Okay. So it is stress on the first syllable. All right. So now we will understand the concept of word stress. As you have already seen, there are words with multiple syllables. When a word has more than one syllable, any one syllable in that word takes more prominence while speaking. Okay, that is, it takes more energy to pronounce. More prominence means it takes more energy to pronounce. Okay, we put a stress on it. All right, and therefore it is considered to be a stressed syllable. Okay, so that is what we mean by word stress. In a particular word, the stress will lie on a particular syllable and the other syllables will be unstressed. That is how we pronounce a word. Okay. Now, how do we show stress in a word? Stress is marked in a word by putting a small vertical line, a short, small vertical line or bar before the syllable which is stressed. Okay. So, as you can see, window. So, it has that bar, little line for win. So, you know that this is the syllable which is stressed. So, in a dictionary, when you look at the phonetic transcription, you will see that this is how the phonetic symbols will be written. So, to mark the different syllables, there will be these dots, and then to show you which particular syllable is stressed, there will be this little short bar. Okay. So, window, answer, answer. Okay. So, again, stress on the first syllable, answer. Okay. Then, perfect. It's perfect. All right. Again, stress on per. All right. Perfect. Then, objection. Now, look at how the stress is not on the first syllable, but it is on the second syllable. Objection. So you might have heard this word being spoken. Objection, my lord, right? So objection, jack. Okay, that is the syllable on which the stress is placed. Then photograph, photograph. So it is here the stress is on the first syllable. Photograph. Okay. Then relative, relative. Okay. Again, the stress is on the first syllable. Relative. Okay. Then let us look at the next word. Establishment, establishment. Okay. So it is again stab, establishment. So there we have the stress on the second syllable. Then look at this word, photographic. Now I said photograph, but it is photographic. Now you see, if we add IC to the word photograph, now the shift of stress also happens. In photograph, the stress lies on the first syllable. But when we say photograph, when we add IC, it will become photographic. Okay, so photographic memory, right? So it will have a stress on the third syllable, graph. Okay, it will have a stress on the third syllable, and that is how we will pronounce it. Then machinery. All right. So the stress is on she, the second syllable, machinery. Okay. That is how we pronounce it. And then longitudinal, longitudinal. So on chew, which is the third syllable. Okay. Longitudinal. All right. So now you see how the words are pronounced. So it is not just enough to know the particular way in which speech sounds are pronounced, but it is also important to know how many syllables are there in a particular word and where the word stress lies. Okay. So these are some important concepts in spoken English, the spoken form of a language. Okay. Now, we will come to the next important concept, that is intonation. I told you before that intonation refers to the rise and fall in a person's voice while the person is saying something. Okay. So intonation refers to sound changes produced by the rise and fall of the voice when speaking, especially when this influences the meaning of what is said. Okay, the meaning of what it's said. Now let me just give you an example. If I tell you, put it down, put it down. Okay, so you understand that it is a command, a sort of, final saying. I am asking you to put something down, put it down. Okay, now if I say the same thing, put it down, put it down, means what? Perhaps you have asked me to put something down, and I can't believe that you are asking me to put it down. It is very surprising for me. Put it down, right? So we have a rise. When we have a rise in the tone, okay, probably it expresses some kind of surprise, or at some point you do not agree with what the person has said. And when there is a falling tone, when I say put it down, okay, it means I'm asking you to put something down. Okay, so this is just to give you an example of what we mean by intonation. The rise and fall in a person's voice, and that rise and fall will have an impact on meaning. Okay, so we have actually three kinds of intonation. You will understand it, but let me first read out these sentences for you with intonation. Okay, I will buy you a pen. So here it is, falling intonation. It is a statement. Okay, what's your name? Again, it is a WH question. Okay, so again we have a falling tone. Okay, excellent, excellent. Again, we see a fall in tone to express some kind of, comment. It is a comment. Okay, then come here, come here. Okay, again, it is a kind of command, or you're asking somebody to come here. Now, do you like tea? Do you like tea? Do you like tea? Okay, so now my voice goes up because it is a yes no question. Your answer would be yes, I like tea, or no, I don't like tea. Do you like tea? Are you tired? Are you tired? Okay, so now you see how my voice goes up at the end. Okay, now let me look at the next sentence. She bought some bread, meat, pasta, and apples. So bread, meat, pasta, and apples. Okay, so my voice, rises at bread, meat, and pasta, comes down, and apples to show that I'm done. Okay, I finished saying what I wanted to say. Now, is it new or used? Is it new or used? Okay, so when there is an option. So is it new? My voice rises. Or used? Again, it falls. Now, I don't feel any pain at the moment. Okay, I don't feel any pain at the moment. All right. So when you say it like this, you mean that at the moment you don't feel any pain, but there is some doubt that you want to express. Probably, after some time I might feel pain. Okay. So the intonation gives you that kind of meaning. Then, suppose somebody asks you for help. Could you do this for me? Somebody asks. And you say, yeah, yeah. Okay. Now, this shows that you are willing to help, but you first want to know what that person, wants from you, what that person is asking you to do. And only then you will say yes or no. So it is a kind of saying yes, but not completely. Yeah. Okay. But tell me, what is it that you want from me? Okay. So this is what we understand by the concept of intonation and how it has an impact on meaning. Now we will just quickly look at the different kinds of intonation that we find in English. Okay, there are three terms: see, you don't have to be so worried about all these terms. You don't have to go into all these things in detail. But if you get a short question on intonation, you should be able to answer. That is why I'm telling you about this. Falling intonation, when the voice falls or lowers in pitch towards the end of a sentence. We just now saw how in some of the sentences we had a falling intonation. This type of intonation is one of the most common, and it usually happens at the end of statements. Okay, when we make statements. Now, falling intonation can also occur at the end of some kinds of questions, such as those beginning with who, what, where, why, when. That means the WH questions. Okay. Now, we come to rising intonation. What is rising intonation? It is the opposite of falling intonation. Here, the voice rises or gets higher in pitch towards the end of a sentence. So, rising intonation is most common in questions that can be answered with a yes or a no. So, yes, no questions. Okay. Are you tired? All right. So, yes, I'm tired, or no, I'm not tired. Okay. Then the third one is circumflex intonation. Don't be worried by this big term, but it means that it is a combination of falling intonation and rising intonation. Okay, so it refers to the voice that falls and then rises. This is used for expressing doubt, surprise, or politeness, right? So I said, yeah. Okay, so just now I give you that example. So okay, you are willing to help, but you have some doubt in your mind. So we have a falling intonation and a rising intonation. Okay, so that is what we mean by circumflex intonation. So you need to understand the basic idea of intonation and why it is important, and to just give you a feel of how intonation is used while we speak, I gave you the examples of those sentences. Okay. Now, till now we were looking at different aspects of spoken English. When we speak English, what are the different concepts that we need to be aware of? And now we have a concept that is important both for the written form of the language as well as for the spoken form, and that is Indianism. Okay, now what do we understand by Indianism? Indianisms are English words or phrases that are commonly used in India but not in other English speaking countries. Okay. So these are expressions which we use and we have accepted here in India. But if you go and use them outside India, probably in America or in Britain, you see, these expressions will not be understood by them. That is the problem with Indianisms. But there are some words, okay, there are some Indian words which are accepted into English and they have found their place in the Oxford Dictionary. So that is not a problem. Even a word like veranda, okay, it comes from an Indian language. The word has an Indian origin, okay, or girao. All right. So all these words, they have an Indian origin, but they have been accepted into English, and that is why you will find them in a dictionary. So those kinds of Indian features that are there in English is a property of English, the language, which grows because it borrows different things from different languages. So if you study many words of English, you will see that many of them have been borrowed from Japanese, from Arabic languages, okay, from Indian languages, of course, then languages of different parts of the world. English grows that way. All right. So we now will talk about those Indianisms which are problematic. That means which are not accepted into the general usage of English in a nation where English is the native language. All right. So now let us look at some such examples. What's your good name? This is an Indianism. Okay, we say this in India, but good name is not an accepted usage in English because there is nothing good or bad about a name. Okay, so instead of that, if you want to know the first name, that means the first name without the title, you can ask them, what's your first name? Okay, or you can just ask them, what's your name? Okay, that is fine. Then let us look at the second one. I live in Delhi only. Okay, so we use the word only to give emphasis to the fact that you live in Delhi. But it is not required. If you just say, I live in Delhi, we live in Delhi, right? Nobody will question you and nobody wants to have an extra word as an emphasis. Okay, if you just say, I live in Delhi, that is fine. Okay, then he is my cousin brother. So, cousin brother, cousin sister, all these things are Indianisms. Okay, because you see, when we talk about native speakers of English, they will just use the word cousin. He's my cousin. That is enough because from the pronoun he, they can tell that it's a male person. You don't need to say brother or sister. He is my cousin. That means a male person. She is my cousin. Means a female person. And the meaning of that word lies in cousin. So you don't need another word for it. Cousin brother or cousin sister, not required. Now, I'm out of station. Okay. Now, this word is a very, old usage when probably Britishers were here and Indians were part of the British Army and they served in different stations throughout the country. Okay, so at that time, if they had to seek permission, to go home or to go out of their workplace, they had to say this, I'm out of station. So it was a specific usage, but it has stayed with us and we keep using this, but it is not required. Okay, we keep using this, we are even not aware of it. So if we just say, I'm out of station, then it will not be understood by a native speaker of English. So it is better to say, just I'm out of town. Okay. Or, you know, I'm out of town or I'm not in my hometown. Okay. So all these things, these simple things will do, but we usually keep using this. All right. Then I passed out from college in 2007. Okay. Passed out. We use this to mean graduate. Okay. But that is not the right usage. You don't say pass out of a college or pass out from a college. You say, I graduated from college in 2007. Okay, that is the correct expression. Because passed out means, in, correct English, it means lose consciousness or faint. Okay, so that is not what we want here. That is why we will say, I graduated from college in 2007. Then there is another expression which is used so many times. You have sent someone an official email and you say, kindly revert. Okay. So we use the word revert that way, but revert has a different meaning. Revert means go back to your original state. Go back to your original state. This is not what we mean. Kindly revert, you want to say, kindly respond to my email or kindly reply. Okay, so you can just say that, kindly respond, kindly reply. Okay, instead of that, we keep using this word, which is not correct in this context. Okay, then let's prepone the meeting. See, here we have the word postpone in English. Okay, we don't have the word prepone for bringing a meeting forward in time. All right, but we have invented this word thinking that we can associate the prefix pre with the word pone. But the thing is, there is no word called pone, right? So it would have been a prefix if there would have been a word like pone, but there is no word like pone. So here it is not a prefix, it is a total word. Okay, postpone. Their post is not a prefix, it is part of the word. It is postpone is the root word. Okay, nothing is being added to pone there. So if post is not added to pone, you cannot add pre to pone and have a word of your own, right? So let's bring the meeting forward in time. That would be a good way to say this. Or let's advance the time of the meeting. Okay. Or let's reschedule the meeting to an earlier time. Okay. These are some of the ways in which we can express this idea of bringing a meeting forward. Okay. Then there is another sentence like, don't eat my brain. See, we have certain Indianisms because we keep translating from our mother tongue into English. We translate that idea into English and that becomes funny. Okay. See, when you say, don't eat my brain, you see that it is a direct translation of, either in Hindi we will say, mera sar mat kha. Okay. Or mo munda khawani. Right. So we translate it and make it, don't eat my brain. But if you go and say this outside India, probably in Britain, okay, nobody will understand and they will be horrified. You're speaking of eating somebody's brain or somebody is eating your brain. So that is a horrific idea. So this is not what we want. Don't disturb me or don't bother me. Okay, don't bother me. That is the correct way to say it. Then we have words like biodata. Okay, biodata. We keep asking for biodata, but it is actually biographical information. Okay, it is not biodata. We combine data with bio and we mean, sometimes we also say bio. We just stop there. Okay, but biodata is not an accepted word in standard English. Okay, so they would say biographical information. All right. So these are some of the Indianisms that we need to be aware of. There are many others, and if you want to explore it, you will find it. You will find interesting articles on Indianisms on the internet as well. You can explore them and you can be aware of these things. Right? It would help you when you try to use the English language. Okay. So I think this would be enough. These are some important concepts related to language use, which I wanted to share with you. So thank you and keep revising.